Hi guys, I'm Shmee, welcome back to the channel, and today you join me in my flat in London, which is actually quite unusual. I've made a few videos here in the past, but this time around I'm back because it's new car week, because the Amg Gt R is just about ready, and I'm going to be revealing it on Saturday with a very special video, something I am so excited for and looking forward to sharing with you. So that is going to come this Saturday, November the 4th at 2 PM UK time. So 3 PM if you're in Europe, earlier in the morning if you're in the US. But today I want to talk a little bit about cars in the future, my garage, and spend some time showing you and talking you through in more detail my model car collection. I know it's nerdy, but you guys ask me an awful lot about it, so let's go over and check out the cars that I've got in the cabinet. Continuing on from my recent IKEA videos, this is actually the Billy bookcase that I bought with my Ferrari Ff. We had this cabinet in the back of the Ferrari Ff for a fun video a while ago, but inside you can see across the shelves my 1:18 scale model car collection. And where you see the smaller cars, the 1:43s or the gaps, that means that cars didn't yet exist. And down here, there are some spaces for cars in the future, but they're all filled, and I'm going to get to that in a moment. But I want to talk a little bit more through each car, because I have a lot of you guys asking me, where do I get these from? How are they customized? Like the purple R8 Spyder, or the blue 12C, or if we come down here, the full trio of the Blue Crew that we had at the same time, and they're all matched like for like to my real cars. And I think it's quite a cool little collection actually that I've been building up since I started to drive. I had a Clio when I was 17, it was my first car, not necessarily a Renault Sport Clio, but the closest model I could get. And there are some that still need painting, all three of those need painting, and obviously there are some notable gaps of cars that aren't yet available. So let me take these models out one by one and explain a little bit more about each one and the story, and then we'll get to these missing cars down at the bottom and what is coming in the future. The first thing that I want to answer is where these models come from. I get a lot of you guys asking me, what shop am I buying them from? Well, unfortunately, it's not that simple. They come from all sorts of different shops. The models are made by loads of different companies. Some of them I've bought from dealers, others I've just amassed over time. And the significance, of course, is that they're all cars that I've owned. I don't have a model of a car that I haven't owned, or at least not in my main cabinet, which is something that's quite personal to me, and it will grow over time. And when I look back in the future, when our children and their children are driving around or being driven around in fully autonomous vehicles, I'll be an old man who still has this model car collection to remind me of the good old days when we had manual gear sticks and naturally aspirated engines and noisy cars that had a steering wheel. That's a strange concept, but they actually had a steering wheel. Right now, totally normal, but who knows what the future is. Anyway, the models come from loads of different places. The simplest answer is I search for each one on Google, eBay and Amazon to find out who is making it and where I can get one from. Sometimes you can pre-order a new model, so some of the more recent ones I've bought, like the Focus RS and the Apt Rs6, the models this is, I've pre-ordered from companies before they've come out, ready to get one as soon as it's released. Others have almost an infinite time period until enough people have pre-ordered it, and then they decide to make it. And sometimes you just manage to find them, or they've gone out of production and you need to search for one on eBay. So I use Google, basically, search for 1:18 scale models and see what I can find. So I've grown the collection over, I guess, a number of years. I started driving 13 years ago now, which is a bit crazy. But I brought some models down. I want to go through them a little bit and tell you about them and a bit about my story with that car when I had it. So we will kick off with the Renault Clio. Now, this is a Renault Sport model. It is made by, I'm going to have to check each one. This is made by Otto Models. Sorry, I should know more than that. But the Renault Clio, this is the Renault Sport. I had a 1.2 Renault Clio Dynamique 16V, which had 72 horsepower maybe, whopping amount. But it was a car that I did, or it was the car that to date I did the most miles in my life. I think I did about 33,000 miles with it. I had it for 3.5 years, from 17 until I was 20. My car was silver, and it had my S17 TJB number plate. So S17 was September 17th, my birthday. TJB, of course, my initials. And I need to get this one repainted, really. It was the first car. It had these kind of 5-spoke wheels on it, but a number of small differences. Anyway, that's where my journey started with cars. I did my first ever road trip in my Clio. I took it skiing. I had a roof rack on the top with skis on it. That was Felt really cool at the time, when I was 18 I think, 19 maybe, driving it across France. And yeah, fond memories of the Clio. I think you always remember your first car, whatever it was, because it was the thing that introduced you to freedom and being on the road. Now, at the time I bought my Clio, I lusted over a BMW 1 Series, so when I was nearly 21, the next car was a BMW 1 Series Coupe. Now, again, we're in the wrong colour because I haven't painted the older ones, or haven't had the older ones hand painted yet, that I'll explain later on, but I had a 123D Coupe. I think with hindsight I would have bought a 125i petrol. The diesel was good because I was driving through France a lot at the time. I loved going over to Paris or going down to the Alps in my age 21, 22, good fun outing. But I had an SE model, and this is an M Sport, but they don't make an SE, so that had to do for now. But again, I think that was probably the second highest mileage I ever did in a car, about 28,000 miles over a year and a half, nearly 2 years. So my 1 Series, again, many fun memories. You build up those memories of cars when you just spend so much time going to places and exploring. And I had winter tyres on my 1 Series, and I had a few outings in the snow in France, which were hilarious. The next up, I would say, was my first more serious car. It was an Audi S5 Cabriolet. Oh, I didn't actually tell you who made the 1 Series model. I think it is Kyosho. Yes, Kyosho model. So, the Audi S5 Cabriolet, and this is a Norev model. This is in the launch colour, which was Sprint Blue with the red interior. The S5 Cabriolet, the V6 supercharged, even though it says V6T on the side, it was a supercharged engine with 333 horsepower, V6, lots of fun, roof down. I drove it to the south of France, to the Riviera, and it was amazing. It was a really, really cool car. I did 10,000 miles in 6 months, which was perhaps a little bit nuts. But again, memories, memories, memories. Unfortunately, I didn't lose too much money when I came to selling it. And I had my car actually in Audi exclusive Sepang Blue, which was the colour they did the R8 in and a number of the RS models. And so I paid a little bit more. I think it was only £1,500 or so actually to have my car in Sepang Blue, a little bit darker rather than the launch Sprint Blue. It's actually amazing how well I remember that, given it was 7.5 years ago, nearly 8 years ago that I spec'd my car. Then the next one, we have a little baby, the V8 Vantage, the 143 scale model, which is paint matched to my spec. You can see with the 87TB number plate, V8 Vantage Roadster. Now I only have the 143 because they don't make a 118. However, I currently have being commissioned a 118 one-off V8 Vantage Roadster model, which is based on a V8 Vantage Coupe model with the roof chopped off so that it can fit the, well, extra bits being made and 3D printed. There's a lot of 3D printing that goes into these commissions, but this was made for me actually by a chap I think in Hong Kong who I stumbled into on a forum, and obviously paid him to customize it, which is super cool. But taking apart these tiny models is a serious pain and takes a lot of skill and labour to get it right. But the bigger models that are repainted, I have found a number of people, very private people, it's all on a very informal basis, who spend a couple of months, it takes about 3 months to get one painted, take it apart, paint the body, paint the interior, and customise them. It's no small task, but let me go swap round, show you the next batch. Then next up, when I had the V8 Vantage, I decided I needed a more practical car, ergo the Mini Countryman. And now this is again, I think, a Norev model. It's the same colour as my car, Countryman. I had a Coupe S All-4, four-wheel drive. Obviously the larger Mini, not so Mini, the Biggie or the Maxi or whatever you want to call it. Mine had silver wheels. I never liked these black and silver outlined wheels, as you'll discover with the Amg Gt R content that's coming right up. But I ran that again for a while, probably 2 years or so in total. And then I sold both the Vantage and... no, I kept the Countryman. I sold the Vantage because I wanted to buy an R8. Now, if you were following me back then, which probably only about 5 or 10,000 of you were, which seems strange to say now, I then temporarily saved myself some money by selling the Vantage, and I bought a Bmw Z4, and this is another Kyosho model. I think BMW are often Kyosho models, and this is not the exact spec I had because this is an S-Drive 35i, but not an M Sport. I had a 30i M Sport, but in silver, but with a red interior, so slightly bit of work needed to make that accurate. Then next though, the Z4 went, the Countryman went, and I'd say my first, 500 plus horsepower car arrived, the Audi R8 Spyder, which is really where things here on YouTube kicked off massively for me with this car. This is painted in the midnight purple wrap that I had the car in, but the R8 V10 Spyder Did about 25,000 miles in it across a year and a half. Amazing car. So many fun memories. The gearbox, the R-tronic semi-automated manual wasn't necessarily the best in the world, but the purple colour, getting into wrapping, first time I'd wrapped a car, just awesome. Changed the exhaust, the Quicksilver exhaust, the noise it made. Those V10 downshifts, monumental. So many fond memories of the R8. And then alongside the R8, because after selling the Countryman, I realised again a practical car was a thing I needed. I bought a little Abarth 595 Turismo. I had the Turismo spec. So I had it in, what's it called? I can't remember the name of the red and Officina grey, two-tone. But mine was a convertible. They don't make a model of the convertible. This is BBR models, excuse me. Not the most expensive. Some of them open and things. This doesn't open, but closest I could manage. I've realised again I missed the make Kyosho as well on the R8, by the way. I should know some of these. Anyway, next batch. And this row starts with my first real supercar. The Mclaren MP4-12C Coupe, wrapped for the first time in the metallic light blue that I think you all know and you've seen many times, and we've had enough jokes I think about MSO Cerulean Blue, but I'd love another car again in the future in this colour. I've had, well, we did the RS6 in it for Gumball, I had the 12C in it, the Morgan three-wheeler, we painted the 675 LT Coupe in Cerulean Blue, and I'm basically wearing a Cerulean Blue jumper right now, but the 12C was such a cool car, and this one has doors that open, and even the interior, oh, they don't stay open, even the interior of this model, if I can open it on the other side, was done basically to match my specification, which is really cool. So that's a very nice personalised model, number plates and all. This is made by Auto Art, actually, I don't even need to look, but same wheels I had and completely my spec, which is really quite nice. Then after that, alongside it, we had, for the summer, the Morgan three-wheeler. Now, I don't think they're ever going to make a 1:18 scale model of the three-wheeler, but that was a hilarious car, and this is basically the right colour, so that lives here for the time being. Before we get to the 650S. Now, this is a green 650S Coupe tiny scale. I had a green 650S Spyder, which supposedly there is going to be a model of at some point, but it's been on pre-order for years, it's not out yet. I appreciate that a lot of you guys might send me links to models you think that I can, or you've seen, but I believe I've bought every one that exists so far. I've spent a lot of time searching, or had a lot of people send me links, of course, and this is due to come at some point in the future, but not yet. Obviously going from one McLaren to another McLaren, and then alongside the 650S Spyder, while I still had the Abarth, I ran for the first time a fleet car. Now, I made the decision to have the BMW M4 on the shelf, even though I didn't actually own it. It was a long-term loaner from BMW UK, but because I did quite a few thousand miles, like 7,000 miles in the car, it felt almost like it was one of my cars, because I got familiar with it, used to it, and done a lot of driving with it. Now, this is the competition package. I ran a regular M4, in fact the same M4 that Clarkson drove on Top Gear, which was really cool, but it was in Austin Yellow, this colour, so that one made an addition to the collection, just like the attempt at a BMW X6 that came after it. Now, this is not my finest model. In fact, what manufacturer was the M4? That's GT Spirit models. So this X6 is nasty, but I had a red X6 M50D, again from BMW, that I ran for a while, but we'll glaze over that one because there isn't a decent model. There is, I believe, an X6M. Maybe I'll buy the X6M. And then we get to, I think, my favourite model, because from a colours point of view and effort, it is just perfect. The Ferrari Ff, the first of the Blue Crew, the surprise when you knew the LT was coming, and I just dropped the FF bomb, and I think nobody saw it coming. But this one, again, has doors that open, and the interior is painted. Even the little part in the centre of the dash is painted in blue to match the car, but it's blue Le Mans, same colour as the car. The wheels, it's a Hot Wheels Elite model, which didn't originally have the right wheels, so those are 3D printed, custom for this model, which is really cool. So it's a very nice match to the actual car, which is just awesome. I like that a lot. Before we get to the Techno model 675 LT in Cerulean Blue that you all know, and a company was actually selling these at the time. Not me, not commissioned by me or anything like that, but I think that was super nice, obviously. First of the actual painted light blue cars. And then next to that, we had, conveniently launched in exactly the right colour, again by GT Spirit Models, the Cayman Gt4 in sapphire blue, with the platinum wheels and the red calipers, exactly my spec, so that was very convenient, except for the seats, but you don't change things like the seats. And some observant viewers will notice that all of the models are left-hand drive. Man, they don't make these ever right-hand drive, so we have to make do. Anyway, we're getting close to real time. For the last batch here, we start off with the Apt Rs6 Performance 1 of 12. Now, I never thought that a model of the RS6 that we drove for Where's Shmee and then for Gumball 3000 last year would ever come out, but it did. Thanks to, it was GT Spirit models again, and this is the 735 horsepower car that we took on quite a few road trips and miles in exact right colour, Nardo Grey, and that existed. So again, another long-termer, but we did some good miles with it, so I wanted to include it in the collection. Then we get to, not the finest model, but the Mini. This is Burago, and it's the wrong scale, so it's a bit big for the rest of the collection, but I had a green Mini, didn't I? So I had to have one in the collection, even though it's a bit weird as models go, but important car, significant, lots of fun. Nobody saw it coming. Before we get to the car that I've again done a lot of miles with, the Ford Focus RS. Now there was a lot of discussion. It's London. Siren. That's a really loud siren this evening. It happens. So Focus RS, this model comes from, is it Otto? Yes, it's another Otto model. Painted in nitrous blue, very similar to my car. And I'm actually going to have another Focus RS in the future, but mine is now done 13,000 miles. I use it a lot, but spec match perfectly. The right wheels, the blue calipers, so an absolute must. And then we actually have a gap in the shelf with a paint mould. The paint mould for MSO Orion Purple for the 675 LT Spyder, which probably looks quite nice in the lights in here. Just looking at the camera screen, yeah, not bad. There is an LT Spyder model. We were hoping that the guys who made the Coupe might make the Spyder, but they seem to have gone quiet recently. If not, I will have to get it painted, but it's going to be a very, very hard colour to paint due to the blue metallic, the cerulean blue flake in the purple paint. That's one to deal with. Then the last custom model is one I revealed earlier this year at the start of a video, which I thought was amazing. The guy who painted it did a stunning job to have this ready. A big thanks to him. The Aston Martin Vanquish Volante Carbon Edition. Now the wheels aren't right, but the paint, again, to match the wrap that we used on the car, on the black car, and again, basically matched to the spec of my car, which is just super cool. Having this in my shelf before the car, having this matched with my number plate, with my wrap, before the car was revealed, was super cool. I thought that was a solid effort. And that's, again, a Techno model. Oh yes, it was a limited edition that I have butchered. Some people wouldn't necessarily like that, but for me this collection it's quite a personal thing. So you'll notice that before the Vanquish I had the GT8. Well, there's no model of a GT8 and there will probably never be a model of a GT8, so if I want one made it has to be completely commissioned and made on its own wide body version of a Vantage, so that is going to be a nightmare. The only other one I've got for the future, because I couldn't resist buying it, is the Ford GT. It is such an exciting car, top speed models, and well, this was the launch specification. Just looks cool. I like looking at it even though it's still years away. But let me take these back over and head back to the cabinet and talk you a bit through the empty spaces. I apologise if I've been rambling on for ages and none of that was of interest. What you wanted to know about was what's coming here. Well, obviously the GT8 goes there. The AMG Gt R, when the model arrives, it's not yet released, will go here. Then that's going to be the 991.2 Porsche GT3 that I've told you about. I've not revealed the spec yet, so stay tuned for that. The car is due to arrive at the end of this year, the very end, maybe early next year, so not too far afield now. Then I believe after that will be my second Focus RS, the new Focus RS Edition, depending if I go for it based on different spec options or what they actually do in the end, but with a front limited slip diff and maybe new colours, just getting a newer updated car because I love driving mine so much, so the Focus RS would go here. But what I can also announce to you right now, forget the Ford GT model, is that the car that goes there is on order, the car that goes there is on order, the TVR Griffith will be here maybe somewhere on order, then another car is on order before the Ford GT that's on order. So by my reckoning, if I can think about this, that means AMG Gt R, GT3, Focus RS, 1, 2, Griffith, Ford GT, and another one. My goodness, that means 8 new cars are on the horizon at some point in the next year or two that are already on order. This is getting out of hand, but it's going to be very exciting. Now, I'll let you know more about that in due course with what's coming up. But AMG Gt R is right now, then exciting times over the next couple of years as the little collection grows, both here in the cabinet, but also in the garage. So, sneak little peek there. That was probably a little bit of a surprise then, although I guess if you've been following for a while, you might be a little bit more used to that by now, because I like to keep things a surprise and drop them out when the time is ready. But first up, the AMG Gt R, and the way that I think we're going to be revealing this car to you guys on Saturday is just crazy and so exciting, and probably one of the highlights of my year. Well, it should be. It's an AMG Gt R that I've waited 18 months for, but the car is coming. The GT3 will follow on its heels later this year, and then there's a lot more planned that I'm looking forward to sharing with you guys in due course. So there we have it, my model cars, the little collection, running through them, a little bit of the history of my actual cars and some of the adventures. Maybe I should piece together some of my old videos that have never really made it onto YouTube, of like the Clio and the 1 Series. Could be kind of fun and interesting to see. Anywho, I'm interested to know from you guys, so let me know if you have a little model car collection of your own, or what your theme is, or what you're going for, and I'd be, well, love to see some pics if possible, so by all means post them up on Facebook or the like as well. Anywho, I'm going to wrap this one up for there. Do stay tuned. Make sure you stay subscribed for the AMG Gt R. The content is going to be incredible. And also, guys, by the way, as well as being subscribed, there's a little bell down below, the notifications bell. If you click that, it means you'll actually see the video uploads rather than missing them out like the algorithm often seems to do, hiding new videos. So if you want to see new Shmeemobiles videos as soon as they go live, make sure you are subscribed with the bell for notifications checked. Anyway, I'll wrap this one up for there. Thank you very much as always for watching, and I'll catch up with you again very soon. Cheers!